What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Good and Terrible Show. My name is Travis, and her name is
Nikki.
And we have a very special episode for y'all. This is actually a nice little milestone we have here for the Good and Terrible Show. We have the very first married couple episode guests on here. We have Mr. and Mrs. Bridges. Go ahead and introduce yourselves real quick.
You go first, ladies first.
I am Talani. You can call me Teedy.
I am your boy Big Herb, aka Weekend Herb.
Boom. And I am the S-Curl sex symbol out here. And we have, for those of you who are loyal followers to the Good and Terrible Show, you might recognize Herb. He's been on a couple of our episodes before. He is a faithful member of Blerds and Whiskey Podcast. We're happy to have him join us today, as well as his lovely wife, Teedy. And the reason for this episode is we day to day, I'm stumbling across Facebook all day long, acting like I'm working when I'm not. Don't tell my boss. But I came across this little video.
Put yourself out there like that, man.
Right.
I'm just kidding. I'm working very hard. Watching, I'm working very, very hard. The numbers show. Anyways, so we have a great episode, a great video that we came across about relationships, about monogamy, and about sex. And so that's the reason why we have a married couple with us here today to bring in their input. We're gonna have a panel discussion. Our lovely co-host Mickey is gonna pop up that video here to show you guys what we're talking about, let you see it firsthand. I'm also gonna put the link in the description below of the video. Before we get into the video though, while she's setting that up, guys, if you could do us all a favor, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to not only this video, but all our videos here at the Good and Terrible Show. Also check out Blerds and Whiskey Podcast. Like I said, Herb is a part of, and I'm sure he would appreciate that as well. Without further ado, say it again.
Herb's Blurbs as well.
Herb's Blurbs as well. Thank you. Please forgive me. I apologize. He has his own segment, Herb's Blurbs as well. So go and check that out. Without further ado, Mickey, would you go ahead and play that video for our beautiful guests?
Yes, sir.
Allowed based on our marriage laws and the contract we've signed with each other,
right,
to have sex with anybody else.
Right.
So these urges that come, I have to share them with the one person I decide to spend the rest of my life with.
Right.
So that brings me back to my soundbite.
Okay.
Right. I don't understand, and this is what we can discuss as a woman, because I don't want to say it's a man versus woman thing, but a lot of women do complain, oh, my husband's always on me. Why is he always on me? If sex is going to be a chore for you that you don't really want to do, why do women constantly push monogamy on men? If you know that you don't want to have to deal with him all the time just wanting you, why do you push monogamy on men?
Well, who's to say I pushed anything on anybody?
Okay, so that's the first part of the clip we want y'all to focus on. Now we're going to play a second part of the clip right here where because they go back and forth with a little bit of banter about who pressured who and different things like that, which we can talk about as well. But I want you guys to take a look at this part of the question. He phrases the question a little differently and gets more direct here. So I want y'all to actually take a look at this part too.
I can make a request. Is the request going to be granted?
Am I not granting you monogamy?
You are granting it to me.
So this is my question.
Look at your boy. Look at your boy.
This is my question. If you wanted monogamy,
okay,
why would you want monogamy if sex is a chore for you? That's the question. You're avoiding the question.
I'm not avoiding the question, but at first you said women or in general me specifically are pushing monogamy on somebody. Okay, yes, that's something that I wanted, but I didn't press you for it and be like, Devale, I'm gonna hold a gun to your head to propose to me.
Time out.
Also, let me finish. Also, I don't feel like I was adequately prepared for marriage. And I've said that before, because if I knew that marriage and monogamy was going to involve me trying to meet you where you were at sexually for years to come, then I probably would have reevaluated it if I wanted to be monogamous anyway.
So
that's powerful stuff right there. In addition, he breaks it down where it's not just, he said he's not just talking about marriage, he's talking about dating as well, because exclusivity doesn't just happen in marriage, it also happens in the dating stage. Obviously, I would hope that you are exclusive before you get married, right? So with that said, basically, just to sum it up in a quick 30 seconds, what he's saying is he feels in society that generally men, I mean, generally women as opposed to men, and not saying a man can't do it, but generally more often women are the ones pushing first for exclusivity, to be, only dating you and only you. And then, and subsequently, there's a nice little word for y'all, pressuring into marriage, furthering that timeline into marriage, ultimatums and different things like that. And then he goes to say, with all of that said, if you're pushing for exclusivity and or monogamy, since they're simultaneous, and then going into marriage, why does sex then become a chore for the one? Because if you think about it, that is the only person you can take all of your sexual urges out on, right? If you are with one and only, that's all you get. That's your option. You go to a restaurant, there's one dish on the menu, okay? So if you're hungry and they deny you that dish on the menu, he's saying then it becomes a problem. So we have brought Mr. and Mrs. Bridges, like I said earlier in the intro, here to talk about this. Guys, first of all, what is your take on the video?
Well, first things first, before we go any further, please do not set me up like a Barbara Walters and Mike Tyson in situation.
I am only here to give the people what they want. That is it.
Okay, guys. First question. Do you, or actually, between you guys, who would you say first brought up the idea of being exclusive?
I don't think it was brought up.
Yeah.
It wasn't brought up.
And furthermore, I don't think that is a real conversation that even takes place. You would say, by the way, I want to be exclusive. You decide I want to date. Right. And we want to date each other. But I don't know. So
when you first meet somebody, maybe it was different for you guys, but maybe it's a little bit, I feel like it might be a little bit different than that. When you first meet somebody, you don't think in like the talking stage, you don't think in the talking stage that people are out here, figuring out who kind of has the best audition before they decide to be exclusive?
I do think that, you don't let go of the whole roster just because you met somebody.
That's my point. Yeah. So at some point, there needs to be a step taken to be exclusive, right?
At some point, and honestly, I think that just comes more so emotionally than anything. I think you decide to take your relationship with that person seriously. So out of respect, you decide to not talk to someone else.
Okay. So that's how it went with you guys.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It was a funny situation how we pretty much was like X'd off our roster, the rest of our roster, because when we went over to the bar that night,
X'd your roster waiting for me.
Well, I mean, that one was still lingering around, and she got pretty much the axe, and she tried to call me back, and she just went medieval on that ass and in a friendly meth DM to her. So
me?
Yes, you did. Yes.
Well, you came to somebody as a woman.
I did. Apparently, I do not recall this.
Yeah, you don't remember?
I was like, this didn't happen. I don't recall this.
No, this happened.
Well, the good thing about Instagram is I'm sure that message is still there.
It definitely happened. She was like, "Oh, she's still trying to come up. I got this. Give me your phone." And she.
That's how I did it from your phone.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I was talking as him.
No. You was talking as you.
Did you know it was me?
Yes, she did.
Okay, then I don't know. Yeah. Apparently this happened.
Yeah, she basically was like, "Look here, this is mine now. You can be gone."
Sometimes people need to hear it from a different. Sometimes they don't understand it one way. Just like everybody has a different learning style, Talani customized it for her and said, "Hey, this is what's happening. Maybe you didn't understand it at the time, but I'm polite letting you know to cease and desist."
Pretty much.
So basically, it starts kind of like, if you in a small space and somebody's standing there, you start off with the little, excuse me, polite, excuse me, and then all of a sudden it slowly translates to move.
Yeah.
Move.
Get out the way.
Okay, Teedy, we see what kind of energy you on right now. Okay.
It's been like this for years. So, you're in for if you don't know how she is, you're in for a wild ride.
Oh,
basically.
Listen, For those of y'all who don't know, I've actually been to their house, and she is an amazing cook. And I feel like any woman who can throw down like that in the kitchen can probably fight at least one or two chicks. You know what I'm saying?
It wasn't just the cheeks that made me marry her. She could cook her ass.
Hey,
I love it. Why you
love
call me Big Herb?
That's the most romantic thing I've heard.
Well, we're not going to talk about that reason, but we're talking about as far as like food. So we're keeping it very, very PG right now. So
we support Black love on this podcast.
In all arenas.
Okay. So there was a conversation that was had. It just wasn't necessarily between you. It was basically her and that other chick that was like, listen, we us now. Okay.
Yeah.
And us doesn't involve you.
I said, look, I know you be looking.
I think that was very narcissistic of me because my roster wasn't empty at the time. It was not.
Wait a second. Okay. All right.
It wasn't. I wasn't hooking up with other people, but I definitely kept the connections open.
Oh.
This is new to me.
Okay. We have a breakthrough here on the Good and Terrible.
Look, it's all water under the bridge because here we are.
Right, you secured the bag.
How big is that bridge? That's the question.
Don't do that. I'm trying to mend the fence and you turn the What's up?
Sometimes you gotta watch the world burn. Anyways, let's all take a sip real quick. And so anyways, back to the video. Dang, that's a big jug of water. Mickey, good, green, thirsty.
Have a glass of water.
Is it water or tequila?
No, lemon and
I need a big ass bottle like that full of tequila.
I'm with you, T. That's mine right there. That would be me if it was full of tequila. That's
I would be passing out. I'd be asleep.
Okay, so back to the video
because we know how you are. You can't even drink.
I'm going to bed.
Yeah, Mickey can't. Mickey doesn't. Yeah, Mickey, the whole grandmother. Mickey's a black Angela Lansbury. But anyway, so back to the video. Okay, so after the point where you guys decided to become exclusive, right? Just like this couple did in the video, you know. What's your take? Do you think that first of all, do you think that he has a valid point, right, when it comes to the question that he proposed, which I think it is something that should be discussed more. I feel like that's not a discussion that we have enough. But do you, first of all, think he has a valid point? And then when she also rebuttals and talks about she doesn't think that she was adequately prepared for what she thought, do you think that was a valid point as well?
I think that they both have good questions. Well, he definitely has a good question, and she definitely had a great rebuttal. What I will say, though, is that to assume that you are the only person going into your engagement or marriage who has reservations about sleeping with one person for the rest of their life is, I mean, a bit of an asshole move. I always say, if you assume, you make an ass of yourself. And so if you meet somebody and you're like, you know what, I might want to have, other people on the side. How do you feel about that? If you're open and honest, you might be able to find somebody who's open and honest with you and willing to do that and share that with you, and you can still have your marriage. I don't think marriage has anything to do with sex. I think it's about finding a partner who you're willing to do life with.
Right.
You know?
Okay, this is an interesting take. Let's back up for a second. You don't think marriage has anything to do with sex?
No. Why? I was having sex before marriage.
Absolutely, but you don't think sex is a part of marriage?
It's a part of any relationship, in my opinion, not specifically marriage.
But that's my point.
But the title of marriage, though, isn't like, oh, this is my pussy, this is my dick, and this is exclusive to me now. I think it's more so, this is the person I want to do life with. I want to have kids with you. I want to build a life with you. I want to grow businesses with you. And I want to do that with you. And if he's like, by the way, though, like, I need to be able to have a hall pass every now and then, and I was someone who was open with that, and we're going to do life together, you're going to take care of me, and we're going to take care of each other, and you have that thing on the side, I think that's okay. But you have to have somebody who's open to that.
Well, yeah, of course, we're not saying sex is the only part of marriage, but we're saying it still is a part of marriage, right? I mean, ideally, when you get married, right? That's a pledge between you and that person that is your pussy, right?
I would say
I
would say this because
it's for better or worse, sickness and health. It ain't for orgasms and nuts.
You don't think your life partner should be the one giving you orgasms?
I do.
No, she's not saying that.
I'm just saying, his question, like if those are your main issues with an engagement, you're looking at marriage the wrong way.
Right.
Go ahead, when I like one thing that we talked about when we first started dating, the one thing that she was worried about as far as like having kids. We end up having a beautiful boy growing up and everything. She wasn't sure if she was going to be able to have kids. I told her, look, I'm not trying to marry you because you can't have kids. I'm not breaking up with you because you can't have kids. I married you, and I don't have no problem with adoption. So I think the first thing you need to walk into a relationship, if you're trying to do the long haul as far as marriage, you need to actually know, like, hey, this is somebody who, yes, I could go ahead and live the rest of my life with. I could build the whole entire family. I could build businesses. I could build wealth, all that other stuff. Yeah, sex is important because if you trash, I mean, yes, it's gonna suck.
This is why I would never be able to have sex.
But here's the thing: you can't walk in saying sex is the number one priority. It's
right. No, I don't think anybody's saying. I don't even think that they're saying that in the video, right? I don't even think that they're saying.
Sex symbol has a. It's definitely a close second though, because for instance, I'm not gonna go into a marriage where I ain't tested it yet. I think kudos to people who wait until marriage. But let me tell you something. When I find out on my honeymoon night that dick is trash and it's little, I'm gonna be pissed. Where's the divorce paper?
Because I mean, last time I checked, whenever you go to an actual car dealership, do you test drive the vehicle?
You do.
So I mean, you don't want to walk
for those of you guys who are in the entertainment business, right? Before you get on a TV show or get in a play or get on a movie, you audition first, right?
Right. Yeah. But here's the caveat to that, though. The way, and just like Lonnie said, God bless those people that were able to do that. I am not one of those people, but I thought as a child, I was like, oh yeah, you know how your parents, for women, I don't know about you, Sonny, for women, it's pushed on you. Wait until you get married. For men,
it is for men too.
It's 2021 at this point. Look, ladies, I'm not here to tell you how you should hold yourself down or whatever. If the dick is trash and you married to it, I mean, I find that comical. I mean, because you didn't test drive the whole entire vehicle.
But like Teedy just said, sex isn't the only priority, right?
It's not the priority, but it's definitely a close second.
All right, but that's my point. Okay, so now we're getting So two things here. So number one, let's say you have a list of 10 things, right? If that person checks off 9 out of those 10, but that one, is they have like mediocre or bad sex, some people can live with it. I guess it's an individual thing. But
it depends on
what it is. It depends because I mean, if you're saying like, hey, I make millions of dollars, but I squander it in like 10 days.
No, we're saying if you got.
No, I'm saying like if the list is like, hey, I got this, and that you make millions of dollars, but
what if the list is great and the sex is trash?
I mean,
that's what I'm saying. If they're well educated, they have good family values. They have good financial establishment.
But here's the thing.
I was gonna say.
All right. No, we're not getting into that.
Can I give you training with?
Let me say this.
No, we're not doing that.
Let me say this before
That's the problem with niggas now. Y'all never want to be trained.
We ain't no animals. You ain't supposed to train us. What you mean?
You are.
That's like saying we training you.
Yes,
you train your woman.
Yes.
Okay, these are the first 2 women I've ever heard in the history of time ever admit that they should be trained. Okay, I've never once heard.
We're talking about sex. Yeah, we're not talking about.
Okay.
Why do you think I married her?
There you go.
So,
but that's the thing.
I see it.
But all joking aside, though, it really is to each his own. Because I mean, if you can live with whack sex, I mean, more power to you. I can't. I'm sorry.
I think as we continue to talk for longer, like I understand his question. I don't know if I like his energy behind the question. He sounds like an asshole to me.
Well, wait a minute here, because a lot of what we're talking about so far has been proactive, right? Their conversation is reactive. It's after the fact that they're already married.
Right.
So let's address that, because I feel like a lot of what we've talked about so far.
Let's address that. I got some feedback on that too.
Yeah, we've all been talking about, okay, what they should have done or what you guys should have done or what you did before getting married. Okay. So at this point, they are already married. They're a husband and wife. They're monogamous, right? So they've made the conscious decision to not invite other swizzle sticks or hoo-has into their relationship. Okay. So now to the point where they're at this stage in their relationship. Okay. They've been married at least 10 years, right? Because she referenced 26 before, now that she says she's 36 now. So that's at least 10 years that they've been married. Mm-hmm. So now they're at the point where he feels that she's denying him sex more often than he would like. Okay. Now, how do you feel, I guess, from the woman's perspective, Mickey and Teedy, from the single and the married, both perspectives here? Do you feel?
I'm not single. I'm just not married. Yeah.
Well, that's on paper, right?
Oh,
when
okay.
you file, on paper, that's why I quoted. I quoted.
Okay.
To be fair,
don't get me.
Listen, I had my fingers up. Okay, Mickey is not single, but she's like single federally. You know what I mean?
From the government standpoint, yeah.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So from the single and the married perspective, do you guys feel as women that he has a valid question to ask? And then that's part one. And then part two of that question is, do you think that as a woman, it's your duty to fulfill your husband's needs that way?
Go ahead, Mickey.
I think so. The first question you said, is it valid for him to ask that question from the beginning of why? Because his question was kind of, I feel like, two-sided. He said that women force monogamy, and then on the back end say,
He didn't say force. He said
what
pressure.
Did he say?
Pressure. He said
Pressure. So you're saying, is it valid for him to say that? Like, is that a valid statement?
Well, that wasn't the part that wasn't the main part of his question. He's basically saying, because he clarified it later in that second clip, right? Because at first he kind of said it a little weird, which is what her original objection was. But basically he's saying, okay, let's ask this question first. Do you guys agree that it's more often in today's society the woman than the man who puts exclusivity or puts monogamy on the table first?
I would say yes.
Okay. So with that out the way, he's then saying, if that is the case, right? If you agree that the woman is normally the one who puts monogamy on the table first and says, I want, you to be with me and only me, then he's saying, why then would you want monogamy if sex is going to become a chore? He's basically alluding to you shouldn't really deny your partner sexual access if you're the only one that remember that the comparison I made earlier to the menu. If you're the only dish on the menu and he's hungry,
he can't eat.
He's basically saying then you shouldn't be able to deny him that dish if you're the one that made that the only choice on the menu.
Right. Yeah, I think that it's hard to say he's right or wrong. I think that there's truth in both parts. I think that what he's saying as far as, yes, being monogamous, if you choose to just be with that, if your marriage is based on I'm only with this person, because you can have an open marriage, or like Talani was saying, some people, you might have a point where you like, hey, we're going to have a little hall pass. I'm going to do this, you're going to do that. But I know what's going on, because marriage is not, I don't think, to me, as a person that's never been married, I don't think marriage should be one singular thing. It should be customized to the couple. Like, even though I'm a Christian, I don't necessarily think that for me or other people that you have to put your marriage inside this box, right? So if he's saying that, like your analogy, if the only dish at the restaurant is spaghetti, and I'm like, I'm not giving you no spaghetti, it's like, but this is what you said you wanted. So it's like, I understand his standpoint on that. I feel like if I was married and my husband needs something, regardless of what it is, I'm going to give it to him. But at the same time, if there's times, because I know that that couple, they have children. I think they have 4 boys and she's pregnant right now.
I don't know how many kids, but I do know they have kids.
At that video is older, but she's pregnant at this moment. I think they have 3 or 4 boys. And I think the oldest is like 9 or 10.
And the raw dog too.
So it's like she has a whole, being a mother, and I know Talani can test because I'm not a mother. That's a whole nother standpoint when it comes to sex. And I've heard women say, like my mother told me, like you be tired. You might not be in that type of mood. So if I was in her position and she's saying that, hey, sometimes I'm not in the mood or I don't want to do this, I can't tell her as a woman, well, you have to, it's almost like a ultimatum. Like, well, you signed up for this. Like, yeah, I did. But what if at this present moment, I'm tired because this is going on, or I'm stressed? You know what I mean? It's like, it's a lot of parts that go into it, but I understand both sides of it, but I don't think it's fair to tell a woman, well, you just got to do it anyway. Because that's how it used to be. Like, in our mothers and like my grandmother's generation, it was, you do what, whether you want to
give it up, whether you want to or not.
Hey, listen, you do what you got to do because it's 1932. You don't have any say so. There is no rights as far as.
Well, hold on a second, because Miss Joanne down the street tend to have some brothers and sisters that's now aunts and uncles. So I mean, I'm not saying that it's right, but I mean, right. At the same time,
well, like people stepping out in marriage.
Yeah. So I mean,
okay. So that leads me.
Goes back to.
I'm glad you said that.
Another city.
Okay. I'm so glad you brought that up, Herb. So I got 2 questions, Mickey. Number 1. So at this stage in their relationship, if they're at least 10 years married and they got kids, and I don't know how many, but they have kids, right?
Right.
Do you think, this is the first question, do you think that it's appropriate or even as far as to say it's fair for him to ask at this point, okay, if you're, obviously he can't force sex, right? I agree with you. No, you can't force sex out of your partner, no matter if it's a man or a woman, whoever you date.
Right, it has to be consensual.
It has to be consensual. We're going to stress that here on the Good and Table Show. We're about consensual sex.
Even in marriage, you still have to.
Even in marriage. So with that said, do you think it's appropriate or even fair for him to ask at that point, or at least them to have a conversation about, what do you think about giving me a hall pass? Or do you think it's okay for me to go to see Joanne down the block? Like Herb was saying, you know what I'm saying? Like, what do you think the protocol then would be?
I don't think it's anything wrong with him asking. The bad part about that is I feel like there's another thing with marriage, and this is I'm projecting what I want in my own marriage. I don't want it to be my husband scared to ask me a question because he's like, she's going to get mad, or then he's scared to ask me a question because now it turns into, so do you want to cheat on me? You know what I mean? It's like, because as a woman, I already have that FBI detective mind state anyways, just how my brain is programmed. So if you say
all women have that. So
most of us do.
Women have that.
Only for me, because I don't like speaking.
Especially Black women.
But
okay, 99.9% of y'all have that. Okay.
I've said clear from day one. If we had back in 2001 to 2002, if we had sent about 5 or 6 Black women over to the Middle East, we could have found Osama bin Laden within about 30 minutes.
Oh yeah,
I'm just saying. They spent 5 years finding something about a handful of Black women could have found in a half an hour because they were late for their nail appointment. I know it. I get it.
But I don't want it to be where, like I said, your husband shouldn't be afraid, or your wife shouldn't be afraid to ask you a question. So he in a perfect world should be able to ask that question, and she should be able to answer honestly, whether she says, yes, I'm going to give you the opportunity to go out, and maybe if I'm not in the mood, you have a person, and then that's a whole nother dynamic, because then you may or may not want to know who that, woman is, or, you know what I mean? It's a lot of different, sex is not just sex. It's a lot of different parts, of course, but.
That's what I was saying earlier.
Right. But what I'm saying as far as like, if he should be able to ask that question, and then she should be able to answer honestly. But that's in a perfect world, because even if he did ask that and she got a little upset, as a woman, I'd be like, I don't think it's okay.
Jealousy gets involved.
Huh?
Jealousy does get involved.
Of course it
Oh
would.
yeah, most definitely. But at the same time, you need to be prepared. If you're with your spouse for over 10 years and you ask this question, be prepared for whatever happens. So, I mean, it could be, you know what? I'm tired of just giving up pussy. I want to be a wife. I love you. I'm just tired. But then, do what you gotta do. At the same time, you need to be prepared that, hey, she might say that, but at the same time, she might flip on your ass if you go ahead and ask that question. Like, I mean, there's ain't nothing wrong with rubbing one out. It seriously ain't.
You know, going back.
I was waiting for somebody to get to it. I was waiting for somebody to get to it.
Going back to the original question though, and Mickey was definitely right. Honestly, in marriages, unfortunately, a lot of the tasks in the household are placed on the women, especially when you have children involved. And so it definitely will interfere with our sex life, because we are when we want to be intimate, it's a mental thing for us. You know, you got to make love to my mind first. You know what I'm saying? Like, and before, and I don't mean just, maybe helping around the house a little bit so that I am not as tired, you know what I mean, throughout the day, so that I can fulfill your needs too, because you should want to fulfill my needs. You should know that I also want to release, and make love to my husband as well. Right. And if I'm doing all this all day long with the kids, I got a business, and you're just like, hey, I need some pussy. Like, that's a whole problem. Like, where's your intimacy?
Because then your energy level, I was going to ask this question to Lonnie, as a wife and a mother, your energy level may be 10 at the beginning of the morning, right? But then you got to get him ready for school, cook breakfast. Your husband might have stuff going on. You have to be alert and here for everybody, and then go to work, and then work your business, and then come home and cook dinner, then do homework, then do bath, and then
it's real. So science too for people like Herb and I, where we work at least. Well, now we work the same schedule, but for the first 7 years of our marriage, we work completely opposite schedules. He works night shift, I work day shift. So finding any time for intimacy was honestly completely difficult the first 7 years of our
real talk. There was times where she was just getting it. I like, look, I got 10 minutes.
That's it.
So I mean,
you can do a lot in 10 minutes. I
ain't even got 15 minutes. Let me get it real quick before I go, because I tend to be a little more in a better mood when I go to work.
You'll be more
listen, all this. Listen,
I was already asleep, so he already going ready for school. So let's go and hurry this up and
for the fans and the followers. Go ahead.
No, I'm saying on top of that, I mean, it's also like what I snuck in earlier, love languages. So I mean, like we at that time, one of her love languages is quality time. At that time, I couldn't give her a lot of quality time because I'm on my night schedule. She's on her day schedule. So you have to find that fine line where, hey, we're going to have to sneak this in because I want to be able to be with you. I want to be able to have my intimacy with you.
10 minutes.
And at the end of the day, too, if a woman is not there mentally, you're not about to get the best out of her. You're not about to get no grade A. That box definitely ain't going to be Aquafina.
Yeah.
It's not.
So for all the fans and followers at home, all these young people all the time, they always talking about they want to have these hour-long sessions and they want to be making love for 2 hours or whatever. Listen.
I said, hold on, wait.
My bad. Go ahead.
I was just saying, when you get a little older, once you hit, at least 28, 29, 30 and up, and going up, you realize that ain't, nobody want to be doing all that. We ain't got time to do all that. You got responsibilities. Okay.
Listen, the guy. First of all, the guy in the video, he needed to see. He needed to wait just 5 more years, okay? Because his wife about to reach her sexual peak. Okay.
5 years is a lot to wait, though. 5 years is a lot to wait.
Women's sexual peak is
he getting it now. He got 4 babies. One on the way.
He is getting it. But he's saying.
But I will say this. Listen, a good hour session is still awesome and necessary because a woman, if we there, okay, we can go all night.
Oh, and to the next
We
day.
can go all night.
I don't know about necessary. Okay, I don't know about hour long being necessary. It's great. Nobody's complaining about hour long sessions, but it's not necessary.
At least once a month. Like I can't.
Shout out to Blue Chew.
I cannot frequent 5-minute episodes.
No,
Yeah.
First of all, you know how hard it is for women to come? Niggas don't know, but women know.
Like,
here's the thing. It is one thing I've realized in our relationship. There's definitely gonna be those one times where it's like, look, I got my itch, you got your itch. Let's scratch it. Sometimes it's just gonna be 10 minutes. Sometimes it's gonna be 15.
I don't know if itching is the best analogy to use during sex. I'm just saying.
Yeah, okay. Maybe not that, but I mean, you know what I mean.
He understood you.
The chances of your woman coming in those 10-15 minutes are slim.
Very slim. And the women that can
you better be friendly. You better love some little cuddliness.
Right.
And get her out the way first.
Oh, listen. I'm fat. I have no problem eating a lot of things, you know.
There's other ways.
I ain't big for a reason.
In that 10-minute window, you go like, okay, maybe you didn't finish. Maybe your wife or your girl didn't finish. You're like, okay, after I'm finished, but let me go ahead and help you out.
Yeah, use them toys with her. Put that little rose on there.
Listen. We gonna talk.
Look at her face. Wait, look at her face.
We're gonna talk about that after we finish recording.
Yeah, let's save that for a different episode.
We'll talk about the road. Yeah, but I think like Travis was saying, that it's important. Sex is always important, right? But at the same time, the partner I think that you choose to be with has to evolve with you. From what I've seen in other, just from the outside looking at other people's marriages, and that could be social media, it could be reality TV, anything. If you've been married for 10 years, you're not the same person as you were 10 years ago. And
that's what she was saying in the video.
Right. That's even in a relationship. So you're going to evolve. So things that you sexually or even like you said, your love languages, I think your love languages can possibly change from your 20s to your 30s.
Hers just changed.
Oh yeah. I like gifts.
You like gifts now, so now I gotta work overtime.
So what are yours now?
My now is
let me say quality time, gift giving, and acts of service.
Yeah. Gift giving got on there. And number 2.
The fact that Herb got all 3 correct, he's about to get lucky after this video. Look at it.
We set you up, Herb. I want you to have a good time after this. Okay.
Hold on. You don't think I had one right before the show?
Hey, listen.
Nigga.
I want happy experience before.
At least give us credit for the alley-oop. I mean, dang.
Right.
I mean,
he lied.
Just let me like $5.
I'm lying. Do you really want to? Okay, all right.
Look at that. She blushing like a mug. She blushing. Look at that.
But the love language, like
Teedy cheeks all red.
If your love language changes, right, and you communicate that to your partner, like I said, the evolving part, from what I understand, you have to evolve with your partner. But if I'm not willing to evolve and say, okay, just like acts of service, which could be taking out the trash, it could be cooking, it could be cleaning
dishes,
because I don't like to cook.
That's a cheat code out there for every guy out there. Real quick. I'm sorry, Herb. I'm gonna get to both of you and Mickey. I don't mean to cut both of y'all off. Real quick, for everybody out there, I got to give you all a little tidbit. For every guy out there who has a woman who not only can cook but likes to cook, that's very important. There is a difference. For every woman who likes to cook, just get up and start doing a couple of dishes after y'all done. I promise you, it's gonna pay
off. You might
get
head at the sink.
What? Okay.
Burlington Throw Factory.
Why you?
Now, here's one thing I will say though, seriously, and I clean for a living. I hate doing dishes. I hate coming home and having to do work. But hey, sometimes you gotta go ahead and do what you gotta do in order to get what you want. Right. And I mean, I'm not gonna sit here in front act like I ain't never left the case of dishes in there and she ain't never got pissed. Because there's been plenty of times when that happens. I mean, and
it happens.
And here's the thing, and all jokes aside, though, I mean, you do have to evolve, because there's been plenty of times in the beginning when we first started off, we was getting in like rabbits. But then after a while, when I'm still feel like I want to go in, she's like, "Look, I don't feel like doing this." And,
you know what though? We were forced to deviate from that jumping on each other like rabbits very early on, actually.
Yeah.
So we had to grow and adapt together.
Why was that?
Because I got pregnant. And I got pregnant within 4 months of our actual relationship. And then
hold on. Let me tell you this, because honestly, we came into, and our situation is kind of unique because we came into the situation knowing, hey, we done went out and did our things. We like 28 at this point. So this is what I want. I'm ready to settle down. Are you ready to settle down? Yes, I'm ready to settle down. It's not our situation.
It got nothing to do with shooting the club up.
No. That was the box was fire. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, shit. But I mean, at the same time,
that's the credit to you, Talani. He was like,
that's it. It is. I mean,
I'm gonna do this.
You got great box.
Hey,
but I mean, all jokes aside, though, seriously, I mean, you do have to eventually evolve, because I mean, if you just sitting there with the mindset sex, and then we have a family at this point, and it took me a while. It took me just about like a couple months ago, just to be like, yo, I want it, like, nigga, I'm on my feet all day doing hair for a living. I got my job. I'm tired. And I know the feeling too, because I'll be like, look, I want to play my PlayStation and just be left the hell alone. So, I mean.
And you know what? The thing is, we're not going to, I don't want y'all to get everybody at home watching, I don't want y'all to get the impression that we're just putting this on the men, because it's not just men that have a high sex drive, okay? I've dated a couple of women who actually do have really high sex drives, probably higher than mine as a man. So, I mean, this situation in the video that we watched, this was the man who had the really high sex drive. But the situation can easily be flipped, where it could be the woman who doesn't feel, satisfied by the amount of sex she's getting. So it does go both ways.
Or the man is saying, "Look, you always on me."
Right. So it can't have another way.
He was like that in the beginning. He was like that. He was like, he's like, I'm sore at this point.
No, like it was.
I was like
that's real.
Yeah, no, seriously, because it was like 6 straight days. I was like, look. At this point,
it does get sore.
I'm shooting dust at this point. Look, I'm done. I need a timeout.
My man's was out here shooting powdered milk.
We don't have any more. Like, we need. Look, what do you like to watch on TV? We ain't looking at Netflix, because Netflix is what got us here.
Netflix.
What do you like to watch?
Herb was out here shooting.
True story. Netflix is definitely what got us. Netflix and chill.
Oh, Netflix gets a lot of people.
Oh yeah.
Listen,
Netflix.
A lot of beautiful families were created because of Netflix in the last few years.
That's why they started raising their rent. They're raising their monthly rates, because they was like, listen, we making y'all babies. We doing y'all favor. Herb was out here shooting powdered milk.
I can't tell you how many times the show 24 has been on the show and we never watched it.
Oh yeah,
I've never seen an episode of that show.
It's actually a good show. It really is.
We tried.
Okay, so a couple of things. So first question, okay. So to the women specifically, Teedy and Mickey, do you because what he was basically saying, because Mickey, you brought up when you were giving your answer, you brought up the word ultimatum as well. You feel like you can't force somebody that you're with into sex, because at that point it's an ultimatum. It's like, hey, listen, either you give it to me or I'm gonna have to find somebody else, right? But in the video, and we didn't play the whole video, remember, guys at home, but in the whole video he did make the point where he said he feels like a lot of women, including his now current wife, gave them an ultimatum where he said, like, they were living together and she said, I don't want to live with you any longer if we're not going to get married, right? She said she wanted to see where this thing was going. She basically said, I don't want to be shacked up anymore unless we're going to get married. So he feels like she gave him an ultimatum, and he goes on to say he feels like a lot of women in society, not all women of course, but some women do give an ultimatum to the guy to not only be monogamous but to also be married, to actually be officially married, right? So do you guys think, this is the question to the women, do you guys think that it's fair or valid for the woman to give an ultimatum to getting married. But then he also says he feels now where he can give the ultimatum about sex because she gave him the ultimatum first. So basically he's saying like she gave him an ultimatum to get married. So now he feels like because he's doing his job as a husband. I'll clap for him for this. He's doing his job as a husband. He's not running out and cheating on her. He is being faithful and monogamous, which she agreed to. Both of them said he was monogamous. Do you think that he kind of has earned the right to give her an ultimatum about sex because he feels like she gave him an ultimatum about marriage?
I personally don't think she gave him a damn ultimatum. She made a decision for herself. She said, look, we've been together this amount of time. I don't want to stay with you any longer if we're not going to go on from here. He decided, okay, well, I'm going to marry you. He didn't have to make that decision. She made a decision for herself that she felt was best for her. He didn't have to then propose. You know, if he felt like he was being pressured and then he proposed, first of all, it's a bitch move. You could have just stuck to your guns and done whatever the heck you needed to do. But you felt like...
he would have lost the woman he loved, right?
You don't love her that much. Pressure.
Yeah.
No, that's not necessarily true. You can feel pressured and still love somebody. That's not true.
No one should ever feel pressure to do anything.
No, and just lay go ahead.
I don't think you should feel pressure to do anything.
Oh, Herb, go ahead and come
on. Let Mickey say it first.
Okay, Mickey, go ahead.
No. You'd be surprised.
I agree with Talani that you shouldn't, like she said, if he felt like he was being pressured, which I don't like the word pressure. I think, like she said, from what I was taught, my mother told me, don't just be shacking up and don't have a plan. Because men will, and I'm not saying all men, but she always told me, why would he buy the cow if he getting the milk for free? If you continue to sit and you don't have any, you don't have a ring, especially if you've had children. Children is a whole nother, that's a commitment in itself to me personally. Children is a lifetime commitment. Whether you stay married or you get divorced or you don't work out, you have to co-parent that child. And even after they turn 18, when people think, oh, they're 18, you still got to see that person. I got to see you. I got to communicate with you, whether you like them or not. So if she felt like she had to make a decision and this is what she wanted, she presented to him, hey, I don't want to go past this point if we're not going to get married. He had the choice of whether to propose and go ahead or say, well, I'm not ready to do that. Let's separate. Maybe we can come back at another point. Because and of course it's selected to the couple.
Yeah, that's a dangerous game there.
It is, but at the same time, would you rather say no, let's separate now, not get married, or would you rather be 10 years down the line and wish you'd never married this person?
Okay, at that point, he's not saying he didn't wish he never married her. He's very clear, you know what I'm saying? They have a happy marriage, right?
Right, they're happy. I'm not saying that they're not happy. I'm saying outside of those two, in general, if you have the opportunity, if you're not ready to do something, you should not feel like, well, I got to do this because I'm going to lose her. No, if you really are truly not ready, I would rather you say, I'm not ready to do this right now. I need some time. If as the woman, if you tell me you need some time and I really love you and care about you, I might give you some more time. I might not. But you should never
go. That's a gamble, see?
It's a gamble.
I don't think it's that much of a gamble. Honestly, I dated somebody before. We had a very great relationship. It was a very fun, well, it wasn't a relationship. That was the issue. We were just together doing everything, kicking it. And it was awesome for 6 months, right? And then I had met someone else and he was cool too. And I told him, I said, look, I really like you. I like how we've been hanging real tough. I was like, but I want to, be in a relationship. Like, how do you feel about that? And he said he wasn't ready for it. And I respected that. He told me he wasn't ready for it. We ended it. And then I did my thing.
Right. I'm going to go on the record and say this. Yes and no. Yeah, it depends on, I would only say yes if she's making it seem like, hey, it's pressured. But at the same time, I'm looking at like, dude, do you love her? Yeah, then there's nothing to really even go with. I mean, just go ahead and do it. I mean, shit or get off the pot. Is this who you want to build your relationship with? Yeah. Go ahead. But at the same time,
wait, real quick. Just because you do love somebody doesn't necessarily mean you're already 100% content that you see yourself spending the rest of your life with them.
I understand that, but at the same time, you don't want to be looking like Donnell Jones saying like, "Hey, I wanted to be with you." Now it's like, "Oh, I just want to be here. I gotta see where I want to be and shit." No,
right? Do
you want her? Yes or no? It's not even. It's not really an ultimatum. Do you want her? Yes or no?
I think at the end of the day, though, the decision she made was for herself.
It was.
And that has to be respected. You don't have to feel pressured about it. Yeah. She made a decision for herself. She was tired at this point. She was tired of shacking up and doing, with no sense of security. And so she made a decision for herself. And he could have kicked rocks but he chose to stay.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm only speaking for me. I knew walking into the next relationship that I got into, I was like, look, I'm going to take my time. Hey, is this the person for me? It just so happens she was the person for me. And it turned out great. 8 years later? I mean, we about to celebrate year 6 on our marriage next month. Yeah. So, I mean, at this point, like, hey, thank you. If this is who you want to be with, stop bullshitting.
I think
don't sit there and don't, you're not pressured, dog. I mean, look, if you want to fuck around and go on the streets, then do it. Ain't nobody putting a gun to your head.
I think if I say this is what I need, I want somebody who's going to be monogamous, or I want somebody who's going to be okay with going to swinger events, or I want somebody who wants kids or doesn't want kids, whatever the case may be. And if you decide to give me the things that I have asked for, then you're agreeing that.
Boom. Okay. That's a great transition back to the video. That last sentence that you just said, Teedy, where he's basically saying his current wife, agreed to give him everything that he wants in a marriage, right? He agreed whether it was an ultimatum or not, he agreed to marry her, right? He's been monogamous, he's been faithful, but he's saying, you entered this agreeing to give me everything that I want in the marriage, right? And he's saying now you're not complying with what you agreed. All right, that's when the part where she said she feels like she was inadequately prepared. So do you think that's a valid excuse now? Because basically what you just said, Teedy, is that like, hey, you agreed to give me this, so that's what she agreed, right? Mm-hmm. So do you think she should hold her end up to the bargain now?
I think that if he said, look, I need sex all the time and that's my love language, and she agreed to it, then I do believe that, because I would want the same if I said, hey, this is what I want out of my marriage, then and I would be expecting it from my partner. I don't know if they had that particular conversation or if he was just assuming, hey, we're married, we should be having sex all the time.
Right. I'm gonna say it like this, for real. If you expect me to do dishes every goddamn day,
which I do,
yeah, I mean, you should be able to pony up them drawers.
Because it's like
pony up them drawers. That's the best thing I've heard this whole.
Isn't
it like a?
I would say pony up something else, but this is a PG-13 show. So
it is. But the funniest part about that whole clip to me was Herb's eyes didn't blink not one time during that whole 2 seconds.
He's so serious, right?
His eyes were so wide. He said, "If you expect me to do dishes every night, you better pony up them drawers."
I'm not safe here for real.
For real. If you're willing to go the extra
Mickey,
mile,
say something because I'm laughing.
If you're willing to go the extra mile, go on, man.
No, go ahead, finish your thought. I hope.
I'm saying if you're willing to go the extra mile for your spouse, then your spouse should be doing the same thing for you. Everybody has different love languages. If your love language is to do this one right here, then hey, go ahead and finish it up.
Can y'all tell he just learned about love languages?
Look here, I was
about to say Herb just freshly read that book. He said the words love languages about 13 times in the last half an hour.
If you don't use it, you lose it, right, Herb?
That nigga just read that book last week.
I'm trying to
I'm gonna use this.
Hey, I'm in it for the long haul. So I mean, if we're gonna be together forever, I need to go ahead and make sure that you're taken care of mentally, physically, every situation that you can possibly think of. But I need the same thing. I can't be giving. It's give and take in a relationship. You can't just give, and not expect anything else.
It's not.
It's not gonna go down that way. Because one of us
you can't be a giver that's paired with a taker, right? Because somebody's always going to get the short end of the stick. You got to be two givers. You know what I mean? So
somebody's going to be pissed off in this relationship, and it ain't going to be me.
So I have a question as far as
the eyes are the best part.
Sorry, go ahead, as far as give and take, like in a marriage for the two of you, would you say that give and take as far as like love language, or even let's say your partner asks you to do something like her, say you don't necessarily like wash the dishes like that, but somebody asks you like, I'm gonna go ahead and do it. You may not necessarily want to do it, but there's times that you will do things that you might not really want to do, but you put that smile on like, sure, baby, I'll take care of that for you.
Like this. Here I am on camera with you beautiful people.
When you're like, sure, I'll do this for you. And
I was like, no. I was like, no. When? What is the topic? He came in the house. I was on the sofa, lounged out, just chilling. He was like, the show's today. I was like, today. I was like, you never said anything. He's like, I told you. I was like, to this day.
Oh, okay.
I did.
But
he thought it was next week.
I know he did.
It don't matter what I thought it was.
Because I asked him like 2 weeks ago.
I wasn't planning on doing it.
But I think like you said, like you have to take that and go, okay, I'm gonna do this for my partner. Not saying that sex has to be like that, because everybody is different. And like we said before, it has to be a consensual thing, because I don't know for you all, but I wouldn't want to have sex with someone with my husband, and he really not into it. It would make me mad, because it's like, you don't even really want to be here right now. I would want you to want to do it. So even if
that's why you turn the lights off. No, I'm sorry.
And that saves you and that saves you money on your electricity bill. I'm just saying.
The lights will go out. You can
put the lights out. You can put
clap on.
You can put the energy like, you don't really want to be here, do you? Like, I feel
it's when you close your eyes and you picture Halle Berry.
Oh my God. It's 2021. You still picture Halle Berry?
He not gonna
picture she a little old now. Now it's Megan Thee Stallion. Now it's Megan Thee Stallion.
Nah, Jelly from Philly. I seen her mic
Jelly
work,
from
so
Philly. That microphone.
Got mic work, so I mean.
Jill got the skills to pay the bills. Megan's
I picked Jill too.
I'll take them toasted scrambled eggs too.
But do you think as a and you said this will be your 7th anniversary or 8th?
Sixth anniversary of marriage, 8th anniversary overall.
Got you. So
I paid attention.
I did as well, but I got the
give him a cookie.
Right. He always wanna anyway.
I want a cookie. I'll take the cookie. What you mean? I like snickerdoodles.
You look like a snickerdoodle. As far as the way you, like you said, Kalani's love language has changed when you evolve. When you evolve in a marriage, you have to grow with that person. Do you agree that the growth has to come from, you have to have that agreement like in the beginning? Do you guys feel like in the beginning, you kind of, before you got married, you talked about like, okay, going forward, like, not to say that you lay out a plan, because of course things always go as planned, but in my head, I always feel like before I would get married, I would have talks like about monogamy, about, okay, are we allowed to have another partner? Are we allowed to have sex outside the marriage? That would be a conversation. In addition to finances, in addition to having children, in addition to where we live, in addition to the chores in the house, all of those things have to come in play. So in this standpoint, for this specific couple, I don't know if they necessarily had that conversation, because Khadeen mentioned that she had to keep up with his sex drive from before they were married, like before she was with him right now. Like, wouldn't you have known that because you were with this person? So that part of that second clip, I was like, but you've been with him, so you should know. I feel like you know your partner.
That part.
So
10 years into it, I feel like you should have adjusted at that point to like, hey.
But you should know my partner has a high sex drive, or my partner doesn't have high sex drive, but this is like their perfect scenario of, like what they look for in intimacy, because intimacy is not of course, just sex is a lot of different things, but
my thing.
Yeah. And that I'm learning more about that. I've been reading. So I'm like,
it's chess, not checkers. Chess, not checkers.
Yeah, because people just I think for I would say I'm 33 now. When I was 25, I didn't look at sex the way I look at it now. Sex was just like, oh yeah, this is fun. But it wasn't like not to say it wasn't a connection, but it wasn't as intimate how I see it now, where it's like you actually really want to please that person, yes, but you also want to be connected with them in other ways and be intimate and not just be physical. Because like Talani said earlier, it starts, at least for me, in my mind, it's mental. You have to mentally
even on the physical side, it doesn't necessarily mean just sex either. You can be physical without having sex. Yeah, I'll be completely honest. I'm completely secure in my masculinity. I'm a cuddler. I'm a full-grown man, and I like to cuddle.
Before you go any further, what did I say to you the other day?
He said he wanted cuddles. I was like, cuddles?
There was a whole.
You better give that man some cuddles.
It's a whole video of this girl that literally just got underneath of the guy's shirt and cuddled with him. I was like,
yes, I saw that. I was like,
let's do that. Yeah, I'm all about cuddling. Sometimes we want cuddling more than sex.
I need a big ass shirt in order to pull that off.
I was gonna say,
hey, listen,
get a shirt you don't care about that you like. I don't care because that.
I mean,
the neck
because her thing.
No shade to her, but all your shirts are big, bro.
It is what it is.
But I think might not want to stretch it.
But all jokes aside, like, I mean, it gets to a point to where it's like, hey, the only time, like when she said cuddle, I was like, look here, the only time I don't want you on me is when my arm goes asleep. When my arm is asleep, I need to move. I need to get comfy too. So I mean, and even still, when I come over there and move, I'm still pulling you in. I want you. Right. You just don't take it as like just because you change position during sex. Why can't we change position while we trying to lay down and watch TV?
While we trying to sleep.
Listen, ladies, PSA. I gotta take a break from the show real quick. To give this common PSA. Women all over the world, okay, all 3.5 billion of y'all women across the world. You ask us all the time. You ask men all the time why we're so obsessed with booty. Right? Why are men always talking about booty? Why guys so obsessed with booty? The number one non-sexual reason, because of course the number one reason is sex, but we're not gonna say that. But the number one non-sexual reason is because we like to cuddle. Not every guy's gonna admit it, but every guy likes to spoon. That spooning is great, and don't nobody want to be pressed up for 2 hours against a woman built like an iPad. Yes, we do.
What's the booty pressed up on your dick?
Unless the arm's falling asleep. Unless the arm is asleep, we want a spoon. We always love meat to cheeks, okay? There's never going to be a situation where a guy doesn't want his meat on your cheeks. I'm just saying.
Then why do you get hard? Why can't you stay soft?
That's not always up to... We have two heads to work with, okay? Y'all have one. Sometimes he wants to do it, okay?
I can't.
That's not always up to us.
I can't control him, and sometimes, I mean, shit. It's not my fault you got a big ass. I mean, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Don't nobody want somebody that's shaped like a dorm room mirror. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just saying.
Don't do that. Because not everybody has yams. Some people got little cakes and some people got medium cakes.
If you don't have yams, stay away from Thanksgiving. That's all I'm saying.
No. Everybody they might like the slim joints with the little cakes. Whatever you got, whoever you with, as long as they like it, it's fine. Don't be shaming.
That's true. Do not booty shame.
Don't booty shame.
Little booties do matter. Little booties do matter. Just not over here. But anyways,
not condoning that. Absolutely not condoning that. No.
All right, guys. The video is getting a little long, so I want to wrap it up with 2 questions. Okay, this goes for Herb, Teedy, and Mickey. All 3 of y'all. Question number 1 of 2 questions. Question number 1, what advice would you give the man in that scenario, in that marriage, in that video? What advice would you give him as the married man, as the husband? And question number 2, what advice would you give that woman, the wife, the married woman in that video?
I think the advice I would give him would be to allow himself to be more understanding of his wife's needs. I am interpreting him as someone who is not. He sounds selfish.
And the woman?
Oh, and the woman? I don't know. Give me some time.
Homie, basically, you got to understand that there's going to be times where you just got to go to the bathroom and just rub one out. And just simple and plain. I mean, because there's been plenty of times you like, what you doing in the bathroom? Well, I'm not getting what I wanted from you. So, hey, Pamela and Angela got to hold it down. So give me a few minutes. As for her is concerned, you do realize 10 years in the marriage, you should know what your spouse is looking for. So if you're saying, hey, I want you to do these dishes and vacuum this floor, you need to proceed to give up them cheeks. That, I mean, or whatever his love language is. If he wants to just you to come over there and say, give him words of affirmation, give him words of affirmation. If he wants you to spend some money on, buy him a PS5. If he wants a PS5, baby, go and give me a PS5. So I mean,
not the flex, not the subtle flex.
I mean, hey, but at the same time, all jokes aside, though, seriously, you need to know, especially if you've been in 10 years now, you need to know what your spouse or your loved one or whatever you are, you need to know what they want. You can't just go ahead and just assume, or like she said earlier, if you assume, you make an ass out of yourself. I had to learn that the hard way in the beginning.
Yeah.
So
I think my suggestion for the both of them now at this point is counseling. They have sex counseling.
But you gave specific advice to the husband. I want to hear what your specific advice is for the wife.
Okay, my specific advice to the husband again was to be mindful of his wife's needs. My advice to the wife is going to be to intentionally interpret those needs to her husband.
Pony up them cheeks, girl.
Listen, some women are not vocal but saying, I need help. This is what I need. This will help me to get you what you need.
We ain't waiting 5 years. I'm sorry. We're not doing that.
No. This one, if you're helping me here or there, it'll help me to get you your needs intimately, because I want to do it intimately too now because I'm less exhausted. So
I think part of the issue is also, like you mentioned Herb earlier, Blue Chew, which I haven't partaken in yet. I haven't needed to.
It's amazing.
But I'm just saying, there's all types of things for the man, right? You have Viagra, you have Cialis, you have Blue Chew, all these different things, even them weird little gas station pills that behind the counter that nobody ever want to ask about. But there's all types of options available for men, right? But I don't think they have an equivalent of those things for women when they're not in the mood and they want to get in the mood.
I think they do.
Oh wait, I don't think that such thing. We be in the mood.
I haven't seen it.
We in the mood. You just ain't doing a good job of putting us there.
It's in there. It's in our. I was about to say it's in their brain. I'm a woman.
Right, of course. But what I'm saying is, I don't think they've invented like a tool, a facilitator to help them reach that. You know, it's all like natural at this point. You know, it's all mental, like you said. I don't think they have any. I don't think they have. Well, yeah, a rabbit, a rose, the like Amazon.
You mean like any of that? Like a supplement?
Yeah, there is no supplement to help a woman get to that level, as far as I know. I could be wrong. If you know something, people at home, feel free to put it in the comments. But
tequila helped out last night.
Listen, tequila get everybody. Listen. Hey, Herb. Hey, Herb.
Little Casamigos here and there.
Hey, Terramana do the job.
It's the eyes every time.
You didn't let me answer. You didn't let me.
Go ahead, Mickey. You're now. Go ahead. Your advice to the man and your advice to the woman.
My advice to the man is kind of in part what Talani was saying and her was saying, was to help her do, if her day is so tasked, say, okay, what during the day is the most taxing for you? Is it picking the kids up from school? Is it doing breakfast? Is it dinner? Is it doing home? You know, it could be something simple. Let me take that off your plate. And then that way you'll have more energy for me later in the evening or later at night after the kids are in bed. Because what I feel like a lot of it is for her, because I think they have 3 boys, if I'm not mistaken, that's a lot of work. And
hell, one is enough.
Yeah, one is enough, and 3 or 4 is like, whoo. But if he was to take some of that off of her plate, that may incline her to be like, okay, now I have more energy. Because a lot of times sex takes energy, right? Like on both parties. No matter what position you're in, you still got to be in that moment to want
that sideways position. Don't take that much energy. I'm just saying
as far as like consenting, you know what I mean? For you to get, because for women, we're speaking for a woman, it's mental. If she's tired and she's like, I had a long day, these kids on my nerves, I'm not in the mood right now. But if he's taking things off of her plate to help her get in that space, or starting the day off with, hey, you look really nice today, compliments, you know what I mean? Like, you have to feed those things into her so that her guard can be let down, and then she can mentally start to get in that mood. So then at 10 o'clock at night, when the kids should be in the bed, now I'm in that mood. And then for the husband to the wife, I think, or sorry, for the wife to the husband, suck some dick. I don't know, like that usually works. I
was about to say, because when one door is closed, another door can be open. I'm just saying.
She got two doors.
You got two doors. If you know
two extra doors.
Well, okay.
they have 3 children. They have 3 children. So I'm like, I know she know what she's doing, right? Yeah. You know what you're doing with your mouth? You
better pop it on a handstand, okay?
Could probably get him finished faster with your mouth than the other way. And now you can get that one off.
Okay, Mickey.
Yes, Mickey.
Mickey. And then we started at 10, 15, we sleep. Now
Mickey. Listen, that's a grown woman right there. Everybody give a round of applause for Mickey real quick. Everybody give a round of applause for Mickey real quick. I don't see y'all clapping. Give a round of applause for Mickey.
But I'm just saying,
that answer was an all-star answer right there.
It's problem solving, because it's like you said.
Critical thinking. Use your head.
Use your head. Literally. Use your head. But it's like that the problem that they have is not, hey, I don't love you. It's not, I'm not attracted to you. They love each other, attracted to each other. It's trying to find the pieces of the puzzle to fit together so everybody gets what they need. Because even if she said it's okay for you to go out and have, if you want to swing or whatever, that's fine as well too. And if she didn't, that's okay. But outside of that, you still should be able to cater to your partner and give them what they, give and take. But as well, I would want my husband to feel like I get everything I need in the house.
I mean, if you go ahead and call her and say, hey, babe, I got dinner. Don't worry about it.
Right.
Man.
You just off my plate. Now I don't have to worry about dinner.
I'm glad, Mickey, that you actually touched on it a little bit in your answer. You didn't go like deep dive into it, but you touched on it a little bit, which is actually what the point that I loved the most that you brought up, and what I was actually going to say to the advice, especially to the woman. I got advice to the man too, but it's extremely important, especially in the marriage stage, where foreplay is an all-day event, right? So if you and Mickey, I'm glad you brought this up, because she's the first one that I actually heard during this whole episode actually really touch on it, albeit briefly, but you brought it up with the compliments, right? Mm-hmm. So it starts, like you said, when you wake up, guys, Herb can attest to this. When we wake up, the blood's already there. I don't know what it is naturally about us, but listen, we want it in the morning. We just wake up and it's ready to go. It's just, even if we don't want it, it's already ready to go, right? So we might be at 10, already when we wake up, right? The woman could be too. So you start off already in the morning, especially in marriage. I mean, you can start by practicing during your relationship, whatever, but especially when people get to that married stage, I hear all the time and watching videos and interviews and stuff that after a certain while, the honeymoon phase is over and the limelight fades and, people ain't what they used to do, which I'm sure obviously is accurate, but that doesn't mean you can't make an effort to, in the morning, kind of build that way up. So for somebody, because when you get married, you have a lot more responsibilities on your plate, right? Not only are you both working, right? You got to make sure that the mortgage and all the bills and the lights are on and everything. You have kids that you might need to drop off at school, or take to practice, or go to their games or whatever you got going on, right? You might have in-laws or whatever that you got to go over to their house and do this, whatever. All this type of responsibilities happen in marriage. You can still make time, or try to make time for little, it doesn't have to be a lot, little subtle compliments, maybe a little booty grab here. You know what I'm saying? Little kiss on the neck while they cooking dinner. Walk up behind them, put your meat on their cheeks. I'm a strong encourager for meat on cheeks. You know, but there's a lot of things that you can do throughout the course of a day to help keep somebody at least a little bit stimulated. So here's where my advice to the guy comes in. That's my advice to the woman, but here's my advice to the guy. I'm sorry, that was my advice to the guy, but here's my advice to the woman comes in. The guy, he's steady building all that foreplay up when little things throughout the course of each day. So now when the time for him to come, he's putting little deposits in the favor bank. That when the time comes to cash that check, now she is more so in the mood to where she can comply with his high sex drive. He seems to have a really high sex drive. You know what I mean? I might not necessarily be at his level. He seems like he wants it all the time. You know what I mean? He might be one of them nympho types, but that's who you married, right? That's who she married. So at least now that he's already put all those deposits in, when the time for him comes to make that request, to make that withdrawal, say, hey, like Herb said, pony up them cheeks, pony up them draws. Now she's probably more inclined to do as he wishes. Mm-hmm. Not saying it's forced, right? Again, we're all about consensual sex here at the Good and Terrible Show.
But
you will not get us
canceled.
She'll be more inclined
because she'll be more in the mood.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
She'll be more inclined at that point.
Yeah.
So maybe the two of them need to have a conversation more about what can I do to help you get into the mood, as opposed to why ain't you giving me sex? Right. You know what I mean? So I think that's where they need to go.
Communication is key.
Yeah.
Boom.
And not being afraid to say what you need.
Yeah. And I've heard that there are a lot of women out there who, after they give birth to somebody, they don't feel as pretty as they did before. So that could play a part in as well, especially if she's got like 3 or 4 kids, as Mickey said. So maybe he can have a conversation with his wife about, what can I do to help you feel more sexy? Maybe he can just, rub on a little titty or something while she's doing something mundane. Maybe while she watching TV, he come up and suck a titty or something. I don't know, something. You know what I mean?
He gotta come up and squeeze. He gotta come and squeeze her little mom pouch, and then he gotta pull out and come all over it. He's like, I love this pouch.
Wow, we took it there. That went from PG-13 to R real quick.
Oh shit! Sorry.
Okay. My thing is this. Even like because I even felt that like, damn, like, does she even want me anymore? Like after that, I thought she was fucking beautiful when she gave birth to him.
Who?
You.
That I want you anymore?
Yeah, because you was like you didn't want me to come anywhere near you.
Oh yeah, we had sex for like a whole 6 months after I had baby.
But you talk about depression.
I think I had postpartum.
Yeah.
Most likely.
Depression, like seriously, like, and I'm not even talking about her. I'm talking about me. Like, babe, do you even want me anymore?
So women have, like you said, with just like with sex, like everything is a lot more mental with women, right? Not saying that guys aren't mental, right? We can be very intelligent, but that doesn't necessarily mean we think the same way. Our brains don't function the same way that a woman's brain does, right? So everything, not just sex, everything is mental with them. So even if they look drop dead gorgeous and you think she looks the sexiest that she's ever been in her entire life, unless she feels sexy, because feelings are super important to women for whatever reason, I don't know, but unless she feels sexy,
I was about to say y'all could be emotional too.
Unless she feels sexy, she's not gonna see it in the mirror.
We don't get them cheeks.
Oh yeah, we definitely emotional when we don't get the cheeks, but part of that goes into why we got denied for them cheeks. But I'm saying with them, if they don't feel as sexy as you think that they are, they're not going to be inclined to give it to you the same way. Herb just said, that's a prime example. They're married. They're married for 6 years, been together 8 years. He thought she was the sexiest she's ever been after she gave birth to their kid, right? 6 months went by, they didn't have sex, even though he's sitting there lusting at her.
No. I waited on that 8th week, and she still was like, nope.
No, that's not true. We tried it, and it was very painful.
Very painful. We're not going to get into that because
Yeah.
But the other part too, before you go and try this, I was gonna say, women's hormones do change while you're pregnant and after you have children. So your sex drive could go up or down. But on top of that, like you said, like if you're in pain or if you just really like you just had a kid. Like I saw both my nieces be born. It made me go, I never want to do this in my life because I saw everything from the bottom of the curtain. And I was like, this is not a game. This is a real thing. And it's physical, it's emotional. Like you said, postpartum, you have a lot of different feelings and thoughts. And it's
you don't have a kid. I feel like you won't have a kid.
Who said
she don't have a kid.
She don't have a kid.
No. I'm a certified.
She gonna have a kid.
I'm a certified.
No, she says that now. Give it another couple years.
I'm 33.
Hey, Travis.
The kitchen is
right, exactly.
You said what?
Give it another couple years.
Okay.
Look at the eyes. Look at the eyes.
We can make a wager. We can make a wager right now on this show.
Okay.
I'm gonna be rich off of that wager.
Bring homeboy to the screen.
Hey, listen, Mickey. This is a true story. I'm not making this up. This is a true story. My mom said the exact same thing as you. My mother, okay? When she met my father, she said the exact same thing as you. I'm never gonna have a kid in my life. I don't want no kids. I'm never gonna have kids. I'm the second child. I'm here in front of you today. You can see my face. I'm living, which means I was born. Okay. You know what I'm saying? You can see it. I'm living, right? It happened. So I'm just saying.
Listen, the club, you just can't, you gotta be careful when you go in the club. You gotta have your gun and make sure you get out of the club. Yeah, no, I just
the club will be shot.
It's gonna be Gangland Central.
You just have to have security in the club.
You gotta have security to make sure. And if you don't, the next day
gonna come up in that joint with all the 40 cows, everything.
And
gang.
He gonna come up in that club like that white boy from Malibu's Most Wanted. That's all I'm saying.
Exactly. had the harpoon and everything.
Like B-Rad did when B-Rad came in.
When B-Rad King Kong ain't got nothing on me.
No, man. Kids, I love children. I love children. I love being an auntie. I feel like when you have, and this could be another episode for all of us. I feel like when you have kids, the time for sex is like this. That's why I'm like, I don't want
that. Is a whole different show.
That's why I'm like, I don't.
That's all we need. That's where we shine as men, because we've been waiting for our whole life to have short-term sex. That's all we want.
You can't even have.
I mean,
can't even have a titty anymore during when them little bastards at one.
Yeah, wait till the milk.
When they doing this, no, we can't even have a titty no more.
And the kids,
we can't, man. You better get a dairy diet. That's all.
No, and then you don't get your bed because the kids want to sleep with you. Like
I'm gonna tell. Listen, when I get married, I'm making it flat out in the house. The kid is not in this bed. Okay, they're gonna stay in there. How much they cry.
House was not in our bed. We did not have him.
There we go.
So
that kid is not gonna be in our bed.
He's older. He's older, so
mother.
he might sneak in the bedroom like randomly when his dad's not there. But he
sleeps like his mother. All over the place.
All
over the place.
Kids will beat your ass.
Kids do that.
Kids will beat your ass. I might as well.
Kids sleep like starfish.
Exactly.
Yeah, starfish that jump and move.
Yes.
I feel like you don't really, you don't learn to sleep condensed until you get to college when you forced to sleep on that twin mattress. I feel like that's.
My parents live in Florida. We went down there to drop him off for the rest of the summer. I looked in the room the other day, and he literally is like this, like ass up in the air, arms up against the thing, and like, who sleeps like that?
My baby.
Who does that?
People who have never been to college. That's what I'm telling you.
You look so uncomfortable.
The picture looked cute to me.
When you go to college, you learn how to sleep in one place. Because if you move, you're gonna fall off the bed. And them college beds be high up on them little stopper things. You're gonna fall off about 6 feet. So you learn to sleep in one place. Yeah. People who ain't been to college, they're the wild sleepers. That's how I know. I'm like, oh, you ain't graduated.
I never been to college, and she came over there and gave me a crash course.
Look.
I got half a butt cheek on it, and that's a big ass butt cheek on the bed every night. Every night. And she's talking about I'm taking up all the damn space.
You like one sneeze away from the floor. You like, if I sneeze,
all the fellas out there, no matter how little space you take on the bed, the woman is always going to tell you take too much. It don't matter.
And you snatch the cups. Yeah.
Women are naturally smaller than men, but yet they take up 3 times more space in the bedroom. I don't understand.
We got a stretch.
And they be hogging the blankets.
Nah. You think yams can just sit in one spot? No, you got to adjust the yams. You talk about yams, you got to move them. You can't just
forget the yams. I want the mac and cheese. That's all.
Hey.
Not the sound effect. Now I know. I really know why y'all married now. Because listen, as soon as we hang up this phone, let's wrap this video up so they can get to what they need to do. Because it's almost their bedtime, and they want.
We holding up the line right now.
That Blue Chew gonna wear off.
Anyways, what does Blue Chew do?
It did exactly what it did yesterday.
Oh my gosh! Shut up.
Ah. Anyways, with that said, this has been another edition of the Good and Terrible Show. They are the bridges. We are the people who don't want to burn them bridges. And we hope that you guys have a really good rest of your night. You guys, we're talking to you, the bridges.
Can I get a quick plug?
Go ahead.
Can I get a quick plug?
Yeah.
Blerds and Whiskey every Sunday at 12 p.m. on Facebook and YouTube. Blurbs have a new one out every Thursday. Depending on what's going on in the world, I put one out randomly. But check them out.
The next episode will be off the 5 love languages.
Yeah, sure. We're
gonna tune in. We're gonna tune in.
Yeah, she's about to give him a gift tonight. Anyways, he is Mickey. I am Travis. We hope you have a great rest of your night. Everybody stay blessed from the Good and Terrible Show. Thank you again for watching.
Peace.